So the other day I just woke up and I wanted to go to the beach and I wanted to go out and look for directory ideas in real life. And really I did this because I think some of the best ideas just come when you're just organically going about your everyday life. Driving around, going to get groceries, filling up your water tanks, doing whatever you need to. And every time I go out of my apartment, I'm just looking at thousands of people, going to places, lining up somewhere. And it always plants this thought where it's like, why are people going to where they're going? This is how ideas form. And I think a lot of the conversations that I've had around people who are trying to build profitable directories are sometimes forcing it a little bit too hard. They're using Ahrefs, they're using online tools, and that's great. I mean, you need to use that to verify whether or not the niche is good from a data perspective. So what I did was on my way to the beach, I just kind of filmed things that I would otherwise keep inside my brain, anything that would give me an idea or spark some kind of niche that I would want to research more in Ahrefs later, and I filmed it. This is kind of interesting. We have a demolition of a building. I know commercial demolition is very big. I feel like one thing I'm noticing, because it is the early morning, there are a lot of work trucks. So if you see any interesting services, I feel like that could be a play. I just saw one for mobile marine services. That's kind of interesting. I might look that up later. Duffy boat rentals, I feel like that could be decent as well. All right, I'm seeing 1-800-Flowers right here. I do feel like it's a big company. Could be worth looking up to see if they have a actual solid directory to help people find the places. Usually stay away from branded keywords, but could be decent. Just arrived to the Seal Beach Pier. Kind of an empty spot. There's not a lot going around here.
Keep working on.
Check this out. It's a surfing school that just pulled up. There's tons of parents and kids lining up. I think that's a great potential idea right there. So I'll be researching those ideas on Ahrefs and just checking to see if those were ideas that were actually good potential directory niches. But this morning I was looking for water refill stations. I have these 5-gallon water jugs at my apartment, so that's kind of what I use for my water. And I was looking for a place like a normal person, just typing it into Google Maps, these water refills. So I drove to a place near me and I realized when I got there that the Primo water refill station was actually just broken. So I spent like 30 minutes trying to figure out whether or not this machine was actually broken or if my brain was broken because I couldn't figure out what was happening. After a while, I went online to look for any kind of directory or any way that I could find these water refill stations. And that's when I found this directory that exists on Primo Water's website. It showed me all the water refill stations near me, and it was annoying because I didn't really want to drive to another water refill station just to realize it was broken again and then have to drive to another one across town. And this was the moment when I realized this might actually be a problem. From my understanding, Primo is a massive brand with literally thousands and thousands of these refill stations all across America, so I assume other people are running into the same problem. Eventually, I just used Google Maps or the directory to find another water refill station pretty close by, and so that one worked. So yeah, this is a small problem, but maybe it is happening so often that this could be worth building a directory around. Even though there's an existing directory, it's pretty bad. It doesn't work well on mobile. It's ugly, and it doesn't tell me whether or not it's broken or not. So I feel like a directory around 5-gallon refill water stations could be pretty good, where the element of surprise and the differentiator is whether or not you can crowdsource people to tell you if a water station is broken or not. And then I realized that other people on Reddit were also going through this same thing, going to a Primo water refill station, getting a broken machine, not being able to refill their water, and then not really trusting to go to another one because what if it's also broken? So at this point I'm thinking, okay, there's tons of people going to this directory. I don't think people's habits are going to change when it comes to changing their 5-gallon water dispenser to a water filtration system. I feel like that is not really what renters want to do a lot of the time. You have a clear problem that you're solving, and then again, you might have other water brands outside of Primo Water where this exact problem is happening to them as well. Technically speaking, it's not a hard thing to implement. You can just have a comment section or a review section for every single listing that is a water refill station. The hard part is obviously getting people to actually come to your website and leave a review. So there may have to be some kind of social media play, maybe some incentive where you offer to give a $25 gift card every week for anyone who leaves a review, and then kind of go about it that way. Personally, I think a TikTok account where the sole purpose was to make content going to a different water refill station and seeing if it works or not, I feel like that kind of content works really well on TikTok, and maybe even lead to people going to their nearby refill stations and just leaving a quick review on your directory to report whether it's broken or whether it's operational. I'm just saying that doesn't seem like a bad idea. So if you're struggling to find directory ideas, or really any idea for that matter, I think you can take this idea, run with it, find a way to crowdsource this information, or you could just go about your normal life and observe life through this extra set of goggles, which I guess is just curiosity, and ask yourself what small annoyances you're facing whenever you're just lifing it up. I do feel like these ideas tend to stick more because they are not only personal to your problems, but you're probably going to be reminded of it every time you go and get water refilled, in my case. So yeah, hopefully this gives you some kind of framework to look for ideas. Now it's time to look at these ideas that I came up with while I was just browsing around in the wild and see if there were any good ones. Let's quickly look these up. We have mobile marine services, parent co-op, commercial demolition, 1-800-Flowers, probably tough because it's a branded keyword, Duffy boat rentals, kids surfing school, and crane rental. I'm just gonna type in mobile marine, and we have mobile marine mechanic near me. I'm not sure if it was a mobile marine mechanic that I saw. It just said mobile marine services, but this does look like an interesting keyword, and I'm just gonna quickly take a look here. So I guess mobile boat repair and mobile marine mechanic is kind of similar. We also don't see that many directories on the front page, at least not any kind of individual small ones. I didn't think this was gonna be a good one. I think just the fact that mobile marine mechanic is so niche that I don't think anyone's built a directory in it, so this could be actually pretty decent. Personally not passionate about mobile marine mechanics, but boat repair and all that kind of stuff seems like a pretty rich niche. At least here in Southern California, you need to do pretty well to own a boat. And I would assume that there are mechanics that charge a pretty penny just to fix these boat repairs. But I will say that boat mechanic near me is probably the keyword that you want to build around, just because I see that it has a little bit more search volume here. And if you can somehow target boat mechanic as well as mobile marine mechanic, I think that can be a really, really solid play. Marine mechanic rates, $85 an hour near this person, $175 an hour in Northern Virginia, $150 in Louisiana, $140 an hour in New York. This sounds like a high-end service that's probably going to add up pretty quickly, which means there's probably enough room if you were, again, to do a lead gen play. I wish I saw some directories on the front page, but it seems pretty low competition. It seems like a hidden niche that not a lot of people are building in, and probably a lot of people don't even know about because you kind of want to live near a beach in order to know that this exists. So that's mobile marine services. Let's take a look at this one, parent co-op. I saw this and I thought it was interesting after I was driving near the beach, and I saw what looked like a school almost. It's a type of early learning program where parents actively participate in the school's operation and their child's education. When I'm looking at this, I feel like there's a better keyword that I want to search for, so I'm going to look up parent co-op and see who is ranking for this. And I'm going to look at the organic keywords. So it just kind of looks like preschools after looking at this #1 ranking website for parent co-op. I don't really love this word, but I am curious about the word co-op. All right, not a lot here. There's also co-op near me, homeschool co-op. That's an interesting one, homeschool co-op. So if we're just looking at homeschool co-op, it's actually not too bad. There's 9,700 total searches. I know a lot of parents invest heavily in their kids' education, so if this happens to be a relatively high ticket offer, then this could be something. So some have minimal fees, others have substantial tuition costs. Here's the tuition for a co-op homeschool, and we can see here it's $100 per student, $80 for each sibling in the same household. So this is for a yearly fee, which means it's not that expensive. We do have monthly fees, and here we have higher prices, $200 for kindergarten. That's looking a little bit better in terms of kind of lead gen, or how you're gonna monetize a directory like this. It seems super low competition. It just probably is a smaller directory and something that isn't too profitable just from a quick look. So definitely not my cup of tea, but I do think there is something here. If you do happen to know about homeschooling or co-ops, there is a decent amount of volume with extremely low competition. I think I saw Craigslist on the front page for one of the queries, which is kind of unheard of. It kind of tells me that there's not enough resources around this topic. So Google's just ranking what they think is going to be helpful. So yeah, this could probably be a really good beginner niche. We have commercial demolition next. This is going to be a tough niche, and I can already tell because I've come across this keyword before. It's one of those niches where there's not a lot of search volume going on, but it's extremely lucrative if you can act as the middle person between the company looking to demolish a building and the actual contractors or the construction business doing the work. I remember this video where someone had a local lead gen business that was more of a rank and rent, but they were making very good commissions on this exact keyword in their area. But the thing was, it's a very long sales pipeline. If you're gonna demolish an entire building, there's probably permitting and city stuff that you have to worry about. It could be many months, 6 to 9 months of just planning out how this job is gonna pan out. But with that said, I'm sure some of these contracts can be hundreds of thousands of dollars if you're tearing down a massive commercial building. From the look of the keyword, we can see there's a lot of low competition here. There's all sorts of location-based queries on the side here. If we type this in, we see commercial demolition, Austin, Texas. But again, look how little search volume there is. And then we don't see any directories just on the front page. I guess in my mind, I feel like something where there's only 10 monthly searches for commercial demolition in Austin, Texas. You are competing with so many other demolition service websites. So you have to ask yourself, how are you gonna differentiate yourself? You know, why would someone choose your directory to make a decision over just going to an actual business and then asking them for a quote and then going about it that way? So that's my main concern with something with this little search volume. 1-800-Flowers was an interesting one. I know that's a branded keyword, but I kind of wanted to just look it up anyways. 1-800-Flowers gets a total of 67,000 monthly searches. Clearly they have to be dominating the front page, which we see right here. They have multiple spots on the front page. I really just want to see if they have a good directory. And this is something that I check when I am dealing with any branded keywords, because there are some opportunities to make branded directories that perform really, really well. The only thing is, in this case, and in many cases, they already have a very good directory. So this is automatically a no. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next one. Duffy Boat Rentals is the next one. Duffy Boat Rentals Newport Beach, Duffy Boat Rentals Long Beach. Those are really good signs right off the bat. We do have a branded tag. Not a lot of search volume at 5,000 total monthly searches for keywords containing Duffy Boat Rentals. Let's remove the S to see if that does anything. And it didn't do too much, right? An extra 1,500 monthly searches. Let's do Duffy Boat Rental Newport Beach. Here we're seeing ones that cost anywhere from $70 to $280, but my guess is that there's going to be a lot of competition for this. We can try Duffy Boat Rental directory and just try to see what happens here. GetMyBoat.com 2025 top 10 electric boat rentals in Los Angeles. And this is a directory. If we were to just click into one, we do see the listing pages are pretty nicely filled out. Tons of images, nice reviews, features and details. And so this is something that you would want to take into consideration when you're building this directory, which is, can I even do better than what's already in existence? I would say because there's not a lot of search volume here and it seems pretty competitive and we don't see really any directories besides Yelp on the front page, I would probably pass on this. I think it's a great sign that there's location-based keywords, but again, I just don't think I can overtake a local business doing Duffy Boat Rentals in Newport Beach. I would say the large majority of people looking for Duffy Boat Rentals aren't meticulously looking for the perfect Duffy boat. They're probably comparing the price and they're just gonna go with the one with the best price. Now we have kids surfing school or surfing lessons. Okay, kids surfing school didn't show anything, so let's do kids surfing school maybe. Not a lot of search volume at all, not a great sign. Surfing school actually has a lot less search volume than I thought. I really thought this was gonna be a good niche, but after looking at this really quickly, there's just not enough juice that is worth the squeeze. There's just not enough search volume, even when looking at surf school, surfing school, surf instructor. These are keywords that I thought were actually going to be at least in the tens of thousands of monthly searches, and we're not seeing that at all. Let's take a look at the next one here. We have crane rental. And I saw this because I saw a crane on the pier that I was on. Crane rental, 31,000 monthly searches with keywords containing crane rental services, all-terrain crane rental. So there's all sorts of different cranes that I guess exist that I didn't know about. Spider crane rental, but let's take a quick look here. So looking at the pricing to rent a small crane in Los Angeles, California, small mobile cranes can cost $200 per day to rent. The larger ones can cost $1,000 per day. Larger tower cranes can cost in the neighborhood of $15,000 a month. That is something that I like to hear, because now that I'm thinking about this number, I'm like, well, maybe it just makes sense to make a directory, not just for crane rentals as a broad category, because now that we see the keywords, there's a lot of different types of cranes. Maybe we can just target large tower cranes, and that could be the play. The keyword tower crane rental doesn't have a lot of search volume, as we can see here, only 930 total monthly searches for all these keywords. But the thing is, if it really does rent out for something like $15,000 a month, and we can be the person that introduces the lead to the rental company, if we can negotiate 10 to 20% of that lead's value in terms of how much they order and how much they rent, then that ends up being a very nice payday. If it were me, I would choose this niche over the commercial demolition niche any single day of the week, because it just seems easier. It seems like not a lot of information is on the web. If we look up, yes, when we look up the keyword, we do see a lot of individual businesses as well. But my bet is that if anyone's going to spend something like $15,000 to $20,000 a month renting this out, they're going to do their due diligence. But that is where you can potentially provide value and act as part of the decision-making process that someone goes through. They have all the information in one place. They can easily compare different types of tower crane rental services, and then they may be able to just go through your website to fill out an estimate or get a quote. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like it. So if we're looking at the ideas that we found out in the wild, I really only think 3 of them have any sort of merit and are worth building in. I would probably want to double check the homeschool co-op, but I would say mobile marine mechanics, not too bad. We have tower crane rental, again, not too bad. They're not the most high search volume keywords, and they would be lead gen plays, which means it's not really that passive. But with that said, I think both crane rental and mobile marine services, those are pretty lucrative niches. And I don't think that they're really widely known as good directory topics or niches to build in, which gives you the opportunity to be the first person to make an amazing directory for people looking for this service. So yeah, that's kind of how I look for ideas out in the wild. I would say there are probably 2 or 3 ideas that I really like just from going out and experimenting with this concept. We're all living our own separate lives. We're all doing different things on a daily and weekly basis. So I encourage you to look at your surroundings, look at where people are going in your local communities. You might just find some really cool ideas. So with that, thanks for watching. Thanks for your attention. Always grateful for your support, and I'll catch you in another video. See ya.